Hello, Barnstomers. Today we have a special treat for you. We are going to interview Denny Garkey, who had the original idea for Little Cubs Field located in Freeport, Illinois. He ultimately oversaw the project and brought a community together to bring out the kid in all of us. Join us as we interview Denny and learn about the fascinating story behind Little Cubs Field. What happened in 2003?
2003, I was with some friends. We were in a kind of a road trip into Wisconsin, and we went to a place called Rookies. It's a sports bar. It's a nice little place to eat, and I'd never been there before. And then as we were eating, we look out the back, and they built like a little wiffle ball field, a very kind of generic plywood, and kids could play wiffle ball, and get a sandwich, and the parents could eat and have a beer or something. And then I said, that's really cool, because I always played a lot of wiffle ball when I was growing up. And I said, this is too bad. It'll look like Wrigley Field. You could build a smaller version of that. I said this to myself. I didn't say it out loud. I just thought it. And then as we were driving home, I kind of started obsessing over the idea and decided I'm going to try to make that happen. And so the process began. And for a couple of weeks, I just thought it over and wrote down some things that needed to happen. And there are a lot of things that needed to happen, including getting permission from the Cubs, from the community, the park district, getting construction people involved without paying a lot of money or hardly any money. And it all worked, but and it actually worked better than anyone could have predicted. So you want me to tell me what I did first?
Oh, please.
The first thing I did is I sat down with my wife and I said, here's the deal. Now, I work from home. I'm a private investigator, so I had been working from home for many years, so I'm always home. And my wife is a retired teacher, so I said, here's the deal. If we get this off the ground, I'm going to be gone a lot. I'll be over at the location where we're building this. I'll be helping. I'll be answering questions, planning, doing all this, talking to the media. So I'm going to be gone quite a bit. And she said, yeah, you should go for it then, because that kind of gives her a little more space at home. And I go, okay, not thinking what her actual reason was for this decision. So then I started the process. And the first thing I had to do, of course, was our winner, who runs a construction company. And now you can start to see what this ended up being. And I said, this is what I want to do. I had a picture of an aerial photograph of Wrigley Field. And I said, I want to make the field the size of Wrigley Field, so like little kids and entry-level Little League, wiffle ball, something that's huge, something we can build using volunteer labor, skilled labor, the community involved, the donations, form a nonprofit, all that. And she said, "Are you nuts?" He said, but he's a big Cub fan. And then he started, the wheels started turning in his mind too, and he goes, "Well, this is how we'd have to do it." And he talks about the construction aspects of building a 9-foot high brick wall with footings and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Stone cap, what looks like Wrigley, the bleachers, the scoreboard, the mark. And I said, well, you think we could do that? He said, well, we'd have to get a lot of help and a lot of people that they'd have to get involved that have, skills, high-end skilled labor to build. And he said, have you talked to the Cubs yet? I said, no, I'm waiting to see if you think it can be done. And then I'll talk to the Cubs. And then he said, yeah, it could be done. We'll have to get a lot of help, but we'll see how that would go. So I called up the Cubs organization, cold call. They didn't know me from Adam. And I asked for the marketing department, talked to John McDonough, who's well-known in Chicago and later became the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks. So at that point, he was like one of the main people with the Cubs and in charge of that type of thing. I said, this is what I want to do. I gave him like the 5-minute pitch, no shot clock or no pitch clock. This is a 5-minute thing. And here's what we're going to do, form a nonprofit, do the whole deal, get it done. We need your help. And he said, what do you need from us? I said, well, we need a private tour of Wrigley Field where we can take pictures of everything, measure things, get the right colors, the right fonts, the scoreboard, all the things that are specific to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And then I said, we need a cutting of your ivy because we want to grow a little bit of ivy from Wrigley Field and match it and put it on our walls eventually. And I need Ron Sano's phone number. So Ron Sano then was the popular announcer for the Cubs. And he says, all right, well, I know we can give you the sprig of ivy. We'll do that. We'll give you a tour, private tour, all as long as you want. And I'll have to get permission from Ron to give you his phone number. And then like a week later, he called back with his number, and Ron thinks it's a great idea and said, yeah, call me up. I'll see what I can do. What we needed, first of all, was a licensing agreement. We had to get permission to use the marks, as they call them, marks of Wrigley Field. That would be the scoreboard, the marquee, the ivy, the brick. Those are copyrighted things. And we have to get permission to use those and get the handwritten. And then we have to set up a nonprofit in that. So John began said, well, we'll have to run that by the legal department and our board of directors. And I'll get back to you. And first you think, and those words are said, you think, well, you're never going to call.
Right.
That's what they think. Everybody tries this. And they said nobody ever asked about that to do this. And I gave him a couple of references to, and like people that know me and people at Park District and other people that vouch for, and I'm not crazy. Well, no. That may have been a mixed reaction. And so he says, yeah, okay. And then 10 days later, he calls me. 10 days. He said, we just had a board meeting. Murray Bank was on their board then. Everybody liked the idea. And they said, well, and then the legal department said, well, if you give them a licensing agreement, that's fine. You can do that. They're going to be a nonprofit. They're not going to make money off of the deal. And he said, no, it's going to be, kids are going to play there, Little League and all this. Oh, no. They said, yeah, go ahead. And then we went further, and then we, did the tour, did all the other things. And then we started the process. We formed a nonprofit. That didn't take too long. We attached to an existing local nonprofit to get started, to collect money. Started Media Blitz, We started designing the features, the scoreboard. We got estimates on the scoreboard. We got estimates on the marquee. And then money came in through fundraisers. Through local banks would give us some things to money.
So this took 5 years. And
from the initial idea that I came up with, yes. There was a couple of years of planning. And then a year and a half of construction. And then it was pretty much ready.
And then speaking about the planning, you coach Little League.
Yeah.
And you got a pretty special guy to help.
I did.
With this, to help with this phase.
I did. So when my kid was younger, I had the pleasure of coaching a kid named Scott Winter. He was 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 through Little League.
Yeah.
I coached him, and he was a good kid, and he eventually went to college and graduated with an architectural degree. He got hired by a firm in Springfield. And his first week on the job, he goes to his employer and says, I have a request. I know I'm just the new hire here, but my former coach it wants to build a replica. And they go, yeah, okay, go on. And he wants me to design it. I'm an architect now, so can I take some, my spare time? I'm going to do this using some of the tools in the program here. And the guy says, heck yes. In fact, we'll even give you some time during your work hours, and we'll stamp it when it's done. Officially stamp it. Official, so it's past all the codes and all that.
Yeah.
So his first job is his dad's crazy friend idea of building a miniature Wrigley Field. So he took a Google Earth photo of Wrigley, and then all the curvatures of the wall mimic the actual curvatures at Wrigley Field, except shrunk down to about 28% of the size. So we got that part of it replicated, and then the other part, we got a private tour of Wrigley Field. He went with us, and he's taking drawings and making notes about how the brick work is. And one of the things is the bricks they're a special, what they call a 3-blend brick combination, where there's 3 different kind of contrasting color of brick, and they're randomly placed in the wall, and that's what they do at Wrigley Field. Well, that they did back in 1914 when they built it. So we got the same type of brick from Lincoln, Nebraska. Now that's over 1,000 miles away. Right about 1,000. So the only place we could find them was there in Lincoln, Nebraska. So here I cold call a brick company in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I say, hey, we need 20,000 bricks and this 3-blend thing because we're building a replica of Wrigley Field. It's a nonprofit and the whole thing. And the guy says, tell me more. And then at the end of a 5 or 6 minute conversation, he says, well, yeah, we can do that. We can do that, and we'll mix them. We'll blend them for you on the pallets. You know what that means? The bricklayers go, that's gold, because it takes them half the time to lay the brick. They just can randomly pick them out of a pile of bricks rather than separate them into different pallets. So he said, and I said, but we won't be able to afford to truck them to you. And I said, well, how much do the bricks cost? And he said, oh, we're not going to charge you.
Wow.
I'm like, what? He doesn't know me. And I just got 20,000 bricks that blended together, exactly what we need. And then he says, I said, what trucking companies do you guys use to go around the country? And he gave me some names of companies that come near there to do their long haul trucking. And one of them was in Rockford, Illinois, which is 30 miles away.
Okay.
So I said, thank you. So I call up that guy, the owner of the trucking company in Rockford, and he didn't know me from Adam again. And I explained the whole thing to him, and he says, yeah, I'm a Cub fan. We come through Lincoln, Nebraska, a couple times a month at least, and a lot of times we're coming back empty. So yeah, we can put them on the truck and bring them back. And he said, when do you need them and where do you want them? And so I told them where would you be here.
Yeah.
And when, and we gave him a date. And he said, yeah. And I said, how much did that cost? And he said, oh, I'm not going to charge it. We're not going to charge it. We're coming back empty. Yeah, it's a little extra expense, loaded up for gas and that. And this is when gas was first like $4 or $5 a gallon. So he did that free, and he didn't know me, and so that happened. So that was the start of the tidal wave of all these things we asked for, and people said, "We're not going to charge you." And I never asked for them for it to be free. We had a little money, but we needed to save as much as we could, and so that went on and on and on. Rebar free, excavation work, bleachers, pouring all the cement, all free. Pumping cement in around this, which is hundreds of square feet of then, and it's all free. Before we even started building, before the bulldozers came, and those came for nothing at first, I talked to the neighbors across the street. And I didn't know then, but I know that one of them had a Cub flag on her door. And I started with her. She's about 70. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a replica. She goes, really? Like, she wasn't that surprised. Like, oh, that would be the coolest thing in the world. And then I said, now, when we get started, we won't have any water. There's no water service on this just land, and there was no electrical service. So I said, can we run a hose across the street from your outlet to get water to mix the mortar and do that for about probably a couple months, and we'll pay whatever your water bill is more each month. We'll just pay that and add a little more. She said, oh yeah, absolutely. And then the city said we could do it, and we just put blocks around the hose, which is really a little irresponsible to do that, and put a sign out slow, and nothing happened. And then the other guy next door, Tony, and we had to use electrical, So we used electrical from him and did the same thing with an electrical, heavy-duty electrical cord. Ran across the street. That was our electrical source, because we didn't have electric service. And so we had two semi-legal blocks protecting these things. And the city and the mayor was great. And he said, yeah, that's okay. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody ever complained. And they just had to slow down and bump up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look over here as what we're doing, and they're excited. The whole community was ecstatic that this was happening, because this is a Cubs town. I mean, every town sometimes has an identity. It's Cardinals, White Sox, Brewers, or Cubs, but this skews 70-80% Cubs fans, and I knew that, so I knew we had a base of people that would support it. The main process was the labor. We estimated there was going to be $400,000 worth of labor to build it.
Wow.
Mostly skilled.
Yeah.
Bricklayers, carpenters, electrical contractors, plumbers, etc. So Mark Winter, my friend, and had the construction company. He had friends in all those areas because he built buildings and houses and so forth. So we got handshake agreements. We ran this by the Carpenters Union. They said they'd do it. We ran it by the Bricklayers Union in Rockford, Illinois. Said that after they consulted with their union, that they would donate all the labor to put up 18,000 bricks and the wall that would look like Wrigley Field, and put the mortar on the stone cap on top, the bricks, and so that's a significant amount of labor that's donated on a handshake. Wow. They were going to have their retired guys come out and help. They were going to have their apprentices journeying, and then some other people from the office were going to come out of the office and work. And so that happened the summer and fall of 2007. I mean, the first thing you do in a project like this is locate home plate. Because you got to build everything around home plate, right?
Yeah.
You have to have enough room for this. It has to be far enough from the road that foul balls don't go into the road.
Yeah.
And they don't hit houses and that. And then you have to design out from that. So I had some friends come over. This is just grass.
Mm-hmm.
Carrots of grass. And I had a home plate, and I said, start pitching to them. And there were some kids, neighborhood kids, and we pitched to them, and the ball would go a certain place, and then I'd say, nah, that's a little too close, we need to come down. And then so we finally, after much planning, we found homes, and we started building around that. And we poured footings for the brick that's going around the perimeter of the field. And then we dug those and poured, footings for that. And that was actually done in the fall of 2006, late fall, like November. So they built it was about a year construction time from there, from November of 2006 to November of 2007. Yeah, it reinforced my belief in the human condition, that all these guys, and a lot of them are like grizzled, construction guys, and they're like, as I explained the project to them, I could see them become like an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, that would be cool. When I was a little kid, we used to play wiffle ball in our backyard, and we would make up where we were, and I said, this is what we're doing. We're actually doing it. We're building a ballpark that you wanted in your mind, in your imagination, and it's a real place where Little League will be played. And the entry level, the 7-8-year-old Little League goes to play. T-ball will be played here. People can rent it, play wiffle ball here. Perfect for that. And so they all got involved. Almost no one said no. And people called me, didn't know me, and said, I'm a plumber. I'll do all the plumbing you want for nothing. And I go, well, I have to turn you down because we already have somebody already doing all that plumbing for nothing. And he said, well, I'll do anything else. I'll do grunt work. I'll do, out of my specialty, I'll just come and help. So he said, okay. And we took their name and we called them for whatever things we had to do. and it just went on. And then the construction schedule was amazingly quick for a volunteer project. And at the point where we started to dig footings and pour cement and put up bricks, people would drive by here because it's in a very visible place, and they go, they're going to do this. They didn't until the point where we're actually pouring cement. They didn't think it was going to happen, and then they said, "Well, they're going to do it. I want to help."
Yeah.
So now everybody come out of the woodwork and said, "I want to help. I can't lay bricks, but I can do this and I can do that." And so we had the Carpenters Union said they'd build this building, our gift shop, which looks like the front facade of Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And they built that for nothing, no cost. They not only did all the labor, they paid for all the material. and
Wow.
Then the Electrical Workers Union said they'd do all the electrical work and buy all the fixtures, including, the lights on the floorboard, all the infrastructure for electrical. And then it kept going. The Plumbers Union said they'd do all the plumbing free, and the cement finishing. Yeah, and everybody did everything free.
Yeah.
And there were no contracts. It was just a handshake.
Oh, wow.
And we just trusted that, yep, they're going to show up when we need them, and they're going to do this, and they did. And so in the meantime, we had formed a nonprofit. We had gotten a lot of publicity. We had the scoreboard built and the marquee built, and the park district, Freeport Park District, gave us this land. It's a 250 feet by 250 feet in this corner of the park, which had no plans for it. It was just going to be grass and bushes. So we said, we use this land, and we're going to put a ballpark in, and it's going to be the coolest thing since sliced bread, and people are going to come from all over the country to see it. And they go, okay, I guess so. And how much is it going to cost us? And they said, well, we'll get a lease agreement drawn up. How about a 5-year lease for $1?
Oh,
Renewable in perpetuity. I go, that sounds pretty good. $1? Can we go to 50 cents maybe? No, $1. So I paid the entire lease out of my own pocket.
oh, wow.
$1. So I got that going for me. And so with that in hand, we started. And it took us basically a year to build. There was planning stage, and then all the summer, fall of 2007, we built this. And by the spring of 2008, it was ready to go. We built the dugouts. They looked like the Wrigley dugouts, foul poles, and the hey sign.
Yeah.
And we even put a mural under the scoreboard that was painted a little bit to look like center field bleachers. And then we sold caricatures for $100 each. Your caricature could be sitting in the bleacher seat. And it shows a little wear and tear now. It's been 15 years being there.
Yeah.
And then Bill Murray came forward, or he just gave us $100 toward his caricature. He found out about it. And Harry Carey's up there, Fergie Jenkins, Ron Sano, a lot of Cubs. And then people from all over, just locally and from all over the United States, found out about it, and they sent in $100 and a picture. And then we had an artist that grew up a caricature cleared up there. And we replanted the ivy in the fall of 2007. And Mariah Veck, Bill Veck's daughter, came to plant the ivy. And a lot of people don't know this, but Dad, Bill Veck, planted the ivy at Wrigley Field back in 1947. And because he was like a marketing person there then, and he thought it'd be a great idea to have ivy on the walls. And it was. I mean, obviously, it's iconic now. It's the main part of Wrigley Field. So on the 70th anniversary of his spade of dirt being turned to plant the ivy at Wrigley, she dug the first ivy plant and put it in. And so that was a pretty cool day because she was very emotional about it because she knew her dad was a big Cub fan. And then, of course, took over the White Sox, became famous. And he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he's long gone now, but she's still around. And so that you can see the result of like 17 years worth of growth on the ivy on the outfield wall.
Well, what's beautiful about it is you're continuing the tradition.
Yeah, and by the time we were done in the fall of 2007, it looked pretty cool. Scoreboard was up. We got the replica flags. The Cubs gave us permission to get the replica flags at the ball carriers, Williams, Santo, Banks, Matic, all those. And we got, they actually made specially sized, smaller flags for us to use, one of a kind, because theirs are huge.
Yeah.
Obviously. So everything's scaled down. We got permission to use the hey on the ball poles, colors are the right, the numbers on there, the dugouts, everything is pretty much to scale to Wrigley, except shrunk down to 28%. And then and it just went, and the basket over the wall, we had a friend of mine help design that, and the basket is the wall is 9 foot all the way around, which is a little different than Wrigley because it varies in height. And our use couldn't do that structurally; it would have been worse. So we just made it 9 feet all the way around with the basket uniformly all the way around, and the kids hit home runs in the basket, and it's exciting to see because it just barely made it into the home run basket. And no, we haven't had anybody fall into it yet.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
they used to at Wrigley. They moved it back now, so you can't do it. But and got bleachers. We got donated seats from Wrigley.
Yeah.
Then we built the gift shop. We got permission to Harry Carey's in the tournament. We used his caricature up there on the back. We're both on in WGN Sport. We got their banner that lead position for that and anything like that. So, it was and it would make a good movie, except there's no villain.
So
It's all good people.
And even to the point of your skilled labor guys got hotels. Oh. And I mean that part was pretty that was pretty neat.
So
too.
for 4.5 months, the bricklayers union in Rockford, they stayed overnight at hotels when they were going to work all week, and the hotels put them up free when they found out what they were doing. I went to all the hotels and said, hey, if these guys show the bricklayer card, will you comp them a room? And they said yes. And then I went to all the restaurants in town and did the same thing. And said, if they show you their bricklayer card, tell them they're working at Little Cubs Field, will you give them a meal? And they, yep, we won't give them alcohol, but we'll give them a meal, lunch and dinner. And we had the neighborhood. It was basically dinner, and then lunches. There was a rotating group of people that just brought lunch every day.
Yeah.
I said, we're working Monday through Thursday or Friday this week. Can you bring lunch? Yep. How many are there? There are like 12 guys. Okay, we'll bring 12 nice lunches and a couple extra. And so they did. And then at the end of the whole project, the project was submitted. The bricklayers have an annual event at the Natural History Museum in Chicago. And they give out awards to the best projects and the most impactful projects and so forth. So they submitted Little Cubs Field. And we were in the same category with a $75 million addition to McCormick Place. And we beat them.
Oh, wow.
They were second, we were first.
That's awesome.
Their budget was $75 million. This budget was zero. and so we went to the banquet, and everybody was like, what the heck? How did you do this for nothing?
Yeah.
And you won. You should have won. Look at how neat this is. And they said, well, I told them the story briefly, and they go, heck, they said if we were in Chicago, that would have cost twice as much as what a normal one would cost.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, no, everybody was just excited about it, and they donated all their services, and the agents. So everybody was very excited because I don't think the Bricklayers Union had ever won such a prestigious award before. And they got a plaque and pictures, and it's in the paper and the whole deal. And they're so proud of what they did. Now, the bricklayers, I don't know if you know this, you probably don't because I didn't know it, and no one knew it. When they finish a project, this is an old school thing. They put a penny in the mortar next to the last brick laid.
Okay.
Okay, so that finishes off the project, and it's a good luck charm. And it indicates that they completed their work. This structure will be impactful. It will stand the test of time and so forth. So they did that in the left field corner here, and we have pictures of them putting the penny half in the mortar and half out, so you could kind of see it halfway. So I gave an interview soon after it was done and talked about that. And next thing I know, there's Tribune reporters and other media people showing up here to taking pictures of the penny. And it set off a search at Wrigley Field to find the penny that was put in there in 1914.
Okay.
They did the same thing then, and there was a story about it back then. And one of the bricklayers, I think it was his grandfather, had worked on the Wrigley Field construction in 1914. And he told the story about they putting the penny in the mortar in left field corner. So they went and they got permission from the Cubs. Okay, just be careful with the ivy, and they couldn't find the penny from 110 years ago. And they said, well, probably fell out, or it's covered in a foot of ivy, and the ivy probably eventually eroded and it fell out. But they were disappointed they couldn't find it. And they said, no, but it was there. The Cubs organization looked up in the archive, and they said, yes, we didn't know that, but I guess that was done. And so they were like, this is pretty cool. This happened. And so we kind of started that little story. But it's a true story. And ours can kind of be seen, although it's hard to, because of all the ivy in there. But yeah, there's that story. And then by April of 2008, we had everything pretty much done. A few finishing touches. They built the gift shop, I think, partially during the winter, and we got that up to speed, got all the electrical in, and then we had a grand opening, and we had Dutchie Carey come out from Chicago in the end of April 2008 to throw out the first pitch, and she was thrilled to do it. And then Pete Benaken, who was Harry's best friend and gave the eulogy at his funeral, was the catcher that day, because Harry had passed a few years before that. So they were here. I remember the day very well because it was your typical late April, kind of like in Chicago. Mm-hmm. It snowed, like just little bits of snow during the day, and it was like 43 degrees high, and they thought it was going to rain or snow most of the day, but it didn't. And so the kids, all bundled up in parkas and stuff, played the first game. It was a bunch of 7 and 8 year olds. They played the first game here. We had, 500-600 people here from lots of media from Chicago and Milwaukee, every place. And we played the first game. And it was just a bunch of 7, 8 year old kids playing a Little League game. And it's gone on from there. Little League plays here 5 nights a week, April, May, June, part of July. It's always open for anybody to play here anytime if it's not rented out. There's no charge. There's no fence around it. People come in January, and if there's no snow on the ground, they'll hit some balls around. And then
that's a Boy Scout project.
Yeah, it's a Boy Scout project. That's an Eagle Scout project. It's a $35,000 Eagle Scout project. I talked to the head of the Boy Scouts, and I think in Texas, and I asked, "Is that the largest Eagle Scout project you've ever had?" And he says, "We don't really keep track specifically of how much they are, but knowing what you've told me and comparing it," he said it probably is. That's a lot of Eagle Scout projects. And so Alex Mark, who was the guy who took that, he was a Cub fan, and he said he wanted to build the shelter, because as soon as we built it, we knew we needed a shelter for all the people coming. They have picnics and so forth, get electricity there. So he says, I want to do this for my Eagle Scout. I go, he was 16. And you have to get it done by your 18th birthday, or it doesn't count. So
right.
He said, I want to do that. And he goes, okay, you know how much this is? We kind of sat down and did the estimates, and the Park District didn't have the money at that time to put one there. So we said, okay, we'll hook you up with some people that'll help donate. We had leftover brick.
Yeah.
The pillars there are the same brick we used on the wall. Well, we'll give you enough brick to do that. We have the bricklayers union said they'll come build those coolers for you and donate it. The electrical guy said, oh, I can run electric there, that's no problem. The cement finisher said, I can put a slab for you. And then a guy, really important, the roof is a 70-year metal roof, steel roof.
Yeah, that's a nice roof.
And he said, I'll talk to the company I represent. I put these in all over. And they donated the steel. Now, that's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
And then he helped. He did the grunt labor with the builder doing putting up the roof. Even watched the bricklayers lay the brick and helped him with that. He helped even finish the cement. He learned a lot of things there, and some of the other stuff. He was there all the time. And then he was out raising money and so forth. And then at the end, he was like 3 or 4 months short of his 18th birthday, and he had to get it done. And he was like $3,000 short to get the last part of it built. So he went I said, go to the park district. Tell them you're giving them a $35,000 shelter, and it's going to cost them $3,000 out of their general fund. And he did. He made a little presentation. They go, heck yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have to pay $35,000 or whatever or more by then. And so that came, and then it got finished, and then they had the grand opening, and about maybe 3 weeks short of his 18th birthday. And so that was, and then he went to college and graduated with a degree in IT and various things, and now he's our web designer. So we remember our own. So he's our web guy, and he donates the web services. I mean, we paid for the design work to get it up, and now he won't charge us anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's a real nice kid, and he's been very successful. And then we had the original guy who I got the idea from, Steve Schmidt, up at the Rookies. Is a big Cardinal fan, a really big Cardinal fan. But he's more than the Cardinals, he loves baseball. And so he has like 600,000 memorabilia from the Cardinals. He's just got all kinds of stuff. So the first year we were open, I said, Steve, let's have a mini Cubs versus the mini Cardinal game every year to raise some money at Little Cubs Field, and we'll have the other game up at your little wiffle ball field. And he goes, yeah, let's do that. So we had 8-year-old kids from our little league system, up in full Cub uniforms against 8-year-old Cardinal uniformed kids from up in the Madison Black Earth area. And they came down, and we played a game here, a 9-inning game, and the first one we actually played it at the same time a Cub Cardinal game started on TV.
And that's cool.
The lineups were announced like 10 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
So we had things for all the players that could have been starters, and we pinned them on the back of the kids that were leading off. Like, you're leading off for the Cardinals. You're pool holes for the Cardinals. And they, okay, and the kids about 65 pounds. That's like pool holes ate for dinner every night. And then we had the same thing with the Cubs. So we played that game with a mirror game. When the first pitch was thrown in that game, we threw the first pitch. Now, we only did that the first year because we realized that was a lot of work. And so it's just whenever we can have the game, and then we have one up there later in the summer. And they get up for it. The kids in the communities, they come down here with all kinds of people in a bus or two, and we go up there, and it's about, I don't know, an hour and a half to Black Earth, the west of Madison. And so we've continued to do that for like 15 years, and do a home and away game. So
that's awesome. I would like to go up there one of these times to take a look at that field too.
Yeah, the same guy owns the shoebox in it's the biggest Midwest shoe store, and he's kind of famous. But he sold the Rookies this last year, but the new guy is doing the same thing. So he's on board with the tournament and mini Cubs games. And yeah, these kids are they're little kids. Mm-hmm. They're 7, 8 years old, and they're all them fun pretending they're Cardinals and Cubs, and they take it seriously. They really go at it, and That's just one of the things. It's like having a giant toy that you can't really break. You know, it's brick, it's mortar, it's steel. You know, built the bleachers about 10 years ago, and then again, of course, the Ironworkers Union put these up, did all the labor for them, and then we had to buy the steel that hold the aluminum. Yeah, and we want to put them up. We want to put bleachers up in right field. If anybody wants naming rights to the right field bleachers, talk to us. We'll name them after whoever you want to, and we'll have the designs laid out. But aluminum is rather expensive, so that cheap endeavor. And we run all kinds of events. We have here's a thing that shows the opposite of what you might think for a $3 billion company. The Cubs are valued now at $3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and they had a lot of bad years there. After we built this, they still had more bad years. In like 2011, I think they lost maybe over 100 games. And so Mike Lafrano, who's one of the vice presidents of the Cubs, is our contact for this connection. He's been out here with this family and hit home runs at having events. So I talked to Mike at a Cub game, and I said, hey, if the Cubs ever win the World Series, I know you're rebuilding. It's going to be tough. When they win the World Series, you got to bring the trophy out to Little Cubs Field. And he goes, absolutely, we will. You know, and then he leaves, and everybody goes back and says, that's not good. You know, we haven't won in 108 years. Why would we now win a World Series? And then they did. 3 years later, they won it. 4 years later, whatever it was. So we're watching that game. You watch the game. It's about midnight or a little after when the game's over after the ring delay.
Right.
And they won, and we won, and it's like, oh my God, we won. And then so next morning at 8:30 in the morning, I get a phone call from Mike Lafrano, the Cub. He says, we're having a meeting right now about the trophy. We're going to have the trophy here soon, and we're going to have a little travel schedule for it. And we're coming to Little Cubs Field first. So you guys get together and find a venue and organize it, and it'll probably be the first part of January.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, he remembered that little conversation and that promise he made. And I'm like, oh my God, they're coming here. So that got everybody fired up. So we did the Masonic Temple here in town, which is a big, beautiful venue. Donated the space. When we had everybody got in free. We got to watch the DVD of the entire year, 2016. They had already come out with that just maybe a week or two before. So we played that on a big theater that they have there, and it was like 10 degrees out. So they didn't have to wait outside. We came in, he sat down, watched the movie, and then they got in line, and 400 people got through in like 3.5 hours to stand next to the trophy with themselves or their family or whatever, take pictures, and then go, and then we just kept that going until they ran out of time because they had to go to Rockford for the next stop. So that was cool. And I tell you, this is the best event we've ever run. Because it was cold and we didn't want people who were handicapped to wait in line. We had a separate entrance for anybody that was handicapped in wheelchairs or couldn't walk well or had other issues. In the nursing homes, I talked to all the nursing homes. They brought over all these older Cub people from their 80s and 90s, and they got in wheelchairs, and they moved through into the front of the line. They got their picture with the trophy, and out they went to the bus, and they didn't hardly miss a beat. And they were so excited. And I said, that worked pretty good. Everybody's happy. Nobody had to tan line, and we got to watch a movie while we were waiting. And at a certain point, we counted about how many we get in. We told people, you're not going to be able to, they're going to leave by the time you get there, so you're not going to be able to get your picture. You'll have to go to Wrigley Field because they were going to display it at Wrigley later up here. So they were sad that but people were lined up. I mean, it was 9 degrees. They were lined up 2 hours before the doors opened, so I knew that would happen, so I opened the doors, and I said, I know it's only 5 in the morning, but I'll open the doors and let them wait in the lobby. And then I think 8 o'clock or 8:30, we started the actual line because the Cubs got here with the trophy. As it developed, we rented the field out for a certain amount for like weddings, birthday parties, team parties, family reunions, whatever, And a lot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, probably thousands by now, people have rented the field for their event, and they bring a bunch of people here, and they do whatever they want to. It might be kickball, baseball, might be wiffle ball, and they play and they have fun, and you go around and see other things in town.
And we'll make sure that the link is in the description so that folks can find out more about renting this.
Yeah, it's www.littlecubsfield.com. So it's just littlecubsfield, all one word, kind of together, .com. And there's go to the website. It'll describe kind of how did this happen. There's also a link on there that says events, and another one that says rent the field. If you click on rent the field, it brings up a calendar. You click on any day, it tells you what hours are available. You click on the hour you want. So if you want it next Saturday at 10 a.m. to noon, you rent it from 10 to 11, 11 to 12. Pay with any credit card, and then it's there. It's yours, and you show up then. And if it rains, we give you your money back, or you reschedule. But yeah, and people do that from everywhere. They'll be 300 miles away, and they'll rent the field.
And quite honestly, it's a reasonable price.
Yeah, $50 an hour now, and you get the shelter over there. You get we have bats and balls we provide. And you get out to be open. You have the handicap accessible bat pen, and you get the experience. And bring as many people as you want. It's just it's just rental for the field itself. And usually, people rent for like 10 to 11, and you may get another hour or two after that because it's not rented by anybody. They just stay there and keep playing. So you get more for your buck usually, unless it's a particularly busy day and people are renting it all day long. But that's seldom happens.
And there's also if folks wanted to see a live view of this, you do have a live camera right behind home plate.
We do. We have a live cam, and has has video, doesn't have audio, and you can, from anywhere in the world, you can view what's going on there. So if you were in Germany, you had grandkids playing on the field, you could go on the camera and via our website and watch them play, and then call them up and talk to them and say, hey, that was a nice hit. So there's that, and it's interactive. And that, again, the camera was donated. The maintenance and upkeep of that is donated by a local Wi-Fi company, and it's, whatever we ask for, and we ask nicely, they say, yeah, we're going to do that. Because this is owned by the whole community and our extended community. I mean, it goes all the way in Nebraska, and that's like, so it's everybody that helps owns part of this. And then we, our nonprofit goes all the maintenance, the upkeep. We pay the utilities, insurance, any improvements we want to make, we do on our own. In the winter, we put outfield pads on the wall that kind of protect the bricks a little bit during the winter. And those cost $500 a year, and you get your logo on there, and then your company is mentioned, and the gift shop on the outside wall there. So we have a couple of those left, but those probably won't last long because people want to get their logos on the outfield wall, and then that helps pay for what we want to do, all our insurance, and all of our work is volunteers. Nobody gets paid in our board. It's just we meet once a month. We talk about what we want to do, hold an event. Like the event we had yesterday was a blitzball national tournament, and teams from all over the United States came here and played, and they had a great time. And then we have Little League and rentals, and we have a 16-team 8 and under baseball tournament, and on every Memorial Day weekend, and that brings in teams from all over the Midwest, and it sells out in like 6 weeks. Wow! I mean, by Thanksgiving, the days before, the next 7 months later, the tournament is already sold out. They know it. They say it's the most fun tournament they've ever played in, these travel teams.
And they're playing at Wrigley Field. I mean,
it is. And we have home run derbies all the time at the end of the tournament. And we had one yesterday. And those are fun to preside over.
And is there a mechanism? Is there a way that folks can donate if they?
Yeah, you can go to littlecubsfield.com, and I think there's a donation button. You can just use a credit card and donate whatever you want. And again, it's a write-off. It's a 501c3. So, yeah. And if they want to call me to discuss any special event they want to have here, like a wedding, we can help set that up. We only charge $300 to have your wedding or reception here. Can't have alcohol because it's in partnership, but we can. And a lot of weddings, they have like a get together after the wedding, and they have like a little clay game, and the bride and groom are dressed wedding dress and tux. I'm like, okay, be careful, you got to return that. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
And they did. We've seen it. The bride has their wedding, and they're all Cub fans. It's a Cubs oriented wedding, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody wearing Cub jerseys and that. And so, yeah, it's fun to organize things. It's fun to watch the things that happen here. There are a lot of tear-jerking moments that I've witnessed here, where I have trouble not breaking down because of what's happening, and I can relate some of those, but I don't want to give away too much that happens. But there's like this one family. It was their grandfather's 80th birthday. Lived in the Chicago area. One of the first years here, and he didn't know about that this existed. So he was getting on age. He had some medical issues. So they blindfolded him and drove him out here, which sounds like a bad thing, but it was like, you're going to tell you where you're going. It's like, oh, I'm old. You're not going to do this. What are you going to do? And no, they blindfolded, so he didn't know he was coming way out west to Freeport. And they walked him out of the car, and they put him on home plate, and they took the blindfold off. And he said, Grandpa, you know where you are? And he looks around, he sees the ivy, he sees what looks like Wrigley Field. He said, well, it's kind of Wrigley Field, but maybe not quite, but it seems like it's Wrigley Field. It's a little smaller than I thought. So anyway, so they had a big party. His birthday, it was his birthday, and everybody had this after. There was 50, 60 people here. And it was great. And he, apparently, I found out later, when he was younger, he was a really good athlete. He played a lot of softball. He could hit. He could run. He could throw. He could do all those things. And then when he was in his 40s, he was still playing, and he was in a car accident that kind of messed up his legs, so he just couldn't play. So they always felt mad that he was such a good athlete, and then had to stop that. So in the middle of the party, he says, I want to hit. And they're like, Grandpa, you haven't swung a bat in 35 years. Can you? He says, I want to hit. He said, I don't think I'll be able to run, but I want to hit. So they go, okay, because he could still walk, and he was to do certain things. So they got him a wiffle ball bat, and they had spotters around him in case he started, and they started throwing in pitches, underhand to him. Started swinging a miss. And then he hits a line shot to right field. He's left-hand bat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody's going, whoa, where did that come from? And he says, I can still see the ball. He said, if I can see the ball, I can get the ball. So that one rolled out to the fence. He says, I'm going to run that one out. And they go, okay. So he got his cane, and he walked very slowly around the bases and scored a home run. And in the meantime, they couldn't get him and couldn't get him back and all that. And they filmed, and it was like, I'm crying at this point. So he scores a run, and he kind of goes, yes. I knew I could still hit. Hope he wasn't going to get in the 80 and over softball league at that point. But that would happen, and the whole family was just crying. And that's one thing. There's 7 or 8, at least 10 other things that tear-jerking about what happens here. From every time an 8-year-old, 7-year-old kid hits a home run in a tournament, it's their first home run. And it's their first home run they'll ever hit, maybe, where they can they can do a home run trot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at home plate, their whole team's waiting for him. And he jumps on home, and then they jump on him, And I had a kid this year, our tournament Memorial Day. He was like 20, and he says, when I was 8, I hit my first and only home run here when I was 8, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And he says, I'm going to be in the home run derby later because everybody participates. So he got in the home run derby, and he won the derby. He won the derby. He finally hit more home runs. He says, I may come here all the time. He's from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, this is the coolest place. He said, that was one of my best memories of childhood. Hitting a home run, dropping the bat, slowly running around the base and getting piled on by his teammates at home plate. Because he wasn't, most people don't hit many home runs or any.
Yeah.
Because there's fences, and it's hard to do, And the big fields down here are 210 feet, and even the kids that are 12 don't hit home runs very often. A long way they did it. So that's some of the things that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there any other projects you're working on? It seemed like I saw the Frisbee. Was that you? Was it?
Yeah, I got a lot of things that I do. We have a Madmen group I formed called the Madmen, M-A-D, meaning making a difference. And this is mainly older guys. And we go around town and we work for free for nonprofits, for the city, for the county, for the park district, for individuals sometimes, and just do cleanup projects or whatever, and painting, staining, all kinds of things that maybe they don't have the money for, and we just do it. And then we don't charge anything, and we just have fun with it. And so that's just a charitable fun group for that. And then I play a lot of disc golf. I don't know what disc golf is. And so I got the idea about 20 years ago that our park system needed a disc golf course. So I went to them, made a proposal, got some people to donate, and design the disc golf course, and then helped install it. And that's still going strong, and it brings a lot of people to town. And I did the same thing at the Highland College a few years later and designed another disc golf course. Then there's another one, same thing, a friend of mine who was actually the guy that was involved in the Woodcup Field project, who built a smaller disc golf course at Generations Brewery in town. And it's the only disc golf course at a craft brewery in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 12-hole course around out on the east side of town. So that's my hobby, and I play disc golf and go around the country. I win to 150, 200 disc golf courses. That's a hobby, but I like to design things, and I like to make use of space maybe that isn't being utilized, and turn it into a positive thing. So,
that's nice. That's a great thing. You have a great legacy, and also, you just think about when we first started this, it all stemmed from the fact does this get you out of the house or not?
Yes.
Yeah. So
she was happy.
So
she said, "You're not here all the time now. You're going over there all the time." I said, "Is that a problem?" She said, "No, that's not a problem. You get in my way when I'm trying to cook and all that." So no, and I have a flexible work schedule. So I'm still involved in all the planning of all the events here, and handling donations and talking to groups, and promoting the field like I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And thank you for helping with that. And you can come here anytime. The gift shop is open during the weekends, like 11 to 5, Saturday and Sunday. But if you rent the field, it'll be there for you, whatever time of day it is. And we'll have people here. We'll have the shelter. So anyway, there's all kinds of stories like that. They're all good. It shows the generosity of people, and the little kid in all of us that you hope is never extinguished. And I'm 75, and I feel like I'm 25 sometimes. Other than it might take me long to get out of bed, but I played sports my whole life. I played baseball, coached baseball, watched baseball my entire life. This keeps me young, and our board, it keeps them young too.
Well, Denny, I appreciate you talking to me this long. I didn't expect it.
I can ramble. Yeah, I do.
I love it. The stories here. I got that. I could listen to these stories all day.
You don't want to. you got a life to live.
Yeah, but it's it's an incredible story, and I love the community. I love everything about this, and you know, I hopefully that we can all do our parts in this, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Well, thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time, and it's just an incredible story to me. And being a Cubs fan myself, it's really something to see. And I really think anybody who comes here is in this area, or even from Chicago, should be here and visit.
Every state in the union every year.
But yes, thank you again.
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.